Hello fellow guitarists and welcome to the review of the Harley Benton Jazzmaster kit. Let's make a quick run of specs. So the body is made out of Rengas and we have a 3-piece here. The neck is made out of maple with the amaranth fretboard and plastic binding. The construction of the guitar is bolt-on. In terms of electronics, we are having two P90s, 3-way switch, master volume, master tone, output jack. And in terms of hardware, we are having fixed pneumatic bridge with a stop bar and 6-in-line tuners with retainers. So let's start with the headstock. And as you can see, I tried to cut it because originally it's a big slab of wood that you can cut as you see fit. Personally, I think it's a good approach on one hand. On the other, if you don't have specialized tools, you will be in a big problem trying to do this. The neck and the headstock is made out of the same piece of wood and is done in a good old Fender tradition, which was done in, first of all, saving a bit of the material and not doing any scarf joints or something like this. But because of this, you don't get a good enough angle on the higher strings, so the retainers are needed. I swapped the original ones for one of less cheaper ones that have less friction on them, just to hopefully improve the tuning stability. And the other thing about not tuning stability but tuning the guitar is tuners. Original tuners are complete utter crap, and I swapped them for the Geiger locking ones from AliExpress. It was the cheapest one you could get, and it costed me, if I'm correct, 22 or 25 bucks, somewhere in that area. Those are not perfect, but definitely better than the original one. Original ones belong to the trash can, if I'll be honest. And definitely the only thing you need to upgrade on this guitar. In terms of a headstock, we are having straight string pulls, so there is no tuning issues, and overall guitar stays in tune rather well. Now let's go to the nut. Nut is made out of the new bone and it's cut perfectly. There is no problems here. And overall, no problems with the nut. I like it. As you can see, truss rod adjustment is at the nut and there is no truss rod cover. Overall, done in the classic Fender style. And overall, nothing to complain with, especially that the truss rod is double action, so you can both bend it in one way or in the other. And because truss rod is dual action, it gives you big benefit. Adjustment of the neck is immediate. Because if you don't know, in vintage, and if I'm correct, in modern Fenders still, because of one-way truss rod, when you applying the tension, you make the truss rod counteract the tension of the string more, it reacts immediate, but when you go the other way around, you need to wait until the tensions of the string pull the neck backwards. In case of dual-way truss rod, no such problem is present, so the reaction to both ways are immediate, and also these truss rods tend to be more resistant to tension. And in terms of how good the truss rod is in this guitar, is that I'm having set of Elixir stand to 46, and there is still some room to adjustment, so the truss rod is not cramped all the way in, and overall no problems with this thing. Now let's go to the neck. It's the one piece of maple, and although it's not a radial cut, nothing like this, the neck is rather stable and once again relatively okay. It's finished in satin clear coat, and in terms of a shape, it's a classic C. And about the dimensions, we have a bit less than 22 millimeters at the first fret, like 21.9 with something, so basically 22. And on the 12th fret, we are having 22.7. I guess that if we run through the specs, the neck should be officially 22 to 23, but it may vary. As a result of this, neck does not become thicker while you play. It's less than a millimeter difference, and it feels rather nice. It's a classic C, so I'm not the biggest fan of this shape overall, because I'm more of a Ibanez Wizard fan, and I do prefer flatter and thinner necks. But this one, after some adjustment, plays absolutely fine. But there is one problem. When I transitioned from the Ibanez necks, I tended to have a lot of pressure on this point of the finger, and as a result of this, it was a bit painful, because if I pressed a bit too hard, I felt it, because there is less point of contact. So I need to adjust this thing, but afterwards, completely fine. Still not my favorite shape, but absolutely playable. In terms of fretboard, we are having, as I said, amaranth, but there is an important thing, it's painted. So I will have a close-up shots here on the binding. You can see marks from the paint. But if one consider part of the fretboard die going onto the binding, I would say it's done, if not perfect, then very, very good. I see no scratches, no problems, no filled-in gaps, and in terms of fret sprout, none is present. Now let's go to the fretboard radius. Fretboard radius here, I think it's 12. I have no official information about it and don't have specialized tools, so I eyeballed it. It feels like a 12. And in terms of frets, we are having nickel, medium, jumbo. And now let's go to the few problems I had once the guitar arrived to me. The first one is the fretboard was really, really dry and required few rounds of lemon oil just to give it a certain shape. And the second thing is that original strings were also really, really bad. And yes, of course, there is no polished frets from the factory, but I don't think it's such a big problem for the price you are paying. And yes, about the price. This guitar costs on Thomann 91 or $90 before tax, or 100 euros or pounds. And also, I really love that although it's the cheapest guitar that Harley Benton has to offer, they not also included binding on the fretboard edges, but also they used a paraloid block inlays instead of the plastic ones. I know it's not a big price difference, but it makes the guitar look and feel more classy than a simple plastic inlays. And I must say that the aesthetic of the black fretboard with binding and the paraloid inlays with this block shape looks amazing. I love it. And now let's go to the body. It's the biggest mod I made. I removed the square neck joint and installed like a scooped heel here to improve the access to upper frets. I did this for two reasons. First, I simply hate square neck joints, and second, because the parts here was rather sharp. So I decided to fix this two ways: simply remove material here and a bit here, just to make access to upper frets at least more comfortable. You can still easily reach 21st fret with square neck joint, but without it, it just feels better. You can see that the hole here is pre-drilled, so yeah, if you be re-drilling, you will have this thing here no matter what, and you will have the same hole inside the neck itself. But on the other hand, installing this type of neck plate is very easy. You just need to screw it on 3 remaining screws and simply drill new hole here. But be careful, if you drill too much, you will simply drill out the fret. So you need to be careful with this thing. Now let's go to the body. We are having a Jazzmaster shape, which I think looks amazing. In terms of comfort, we are having big belly cut and arm carve, and because it's made in a classic Fender way, all of the edges are smoothed out, which makes all of these cutaways be even less pronounced than if we compare it, for example, to Ibanez RG. And because this, it feels even more comfortable, especially arm carve. It just feels amazing. and the body thickness is 39.69 nice millimeters, which basically 4 centimeters or this amount in inches. In terms of electronics, everything comes pre-soldered, so the only thing you need to work with is ground wire and pickups. Pickups are on quick connect, so if you don't know what it is, there are few pins on the pickup and you need to simply plug the cable with the pin slots inside the pin and screw the pickups into the body. And that's all. And the ground wire is installed underneath this post of the tunematic bridge, and it's the only thing I had problem with. You really need to put a lot of the ground wire there and then hammer it in, and after this post will not be removable at all. In terms of electronics, everything works fine. The 3-way toggle switch is extremely pleasant, and if I compare it to the one I had on my Valraven, this feels 2 or 3 times better. It feels like more elite and more weighty, if I may say so. Nice sound and nice feel. And it has a very distinct points, so it's not floppy in any way, so it's very good. In terms of pots, those are once again relatively okay. They're not problematic, they're not scratchy, not anything like this, but they don't feel premium, and the volume has this sound. When you adjust the volume, you can hear this. But this, everything works great, if I may say so. Yeah, it works really good. The other thing I need to tell you is that, and this is the thing I don't like, is pickguard. For 2 reasons. First of all, it's red. As you can see, it's a 3-ply pickguard. But because it's red, it removes a lot of the paint options that will look good on this guitar. And also because it's not a direct Jazzmaster copy, you can't use the pickguards for Jazzmaster. So as a result of this, you will be limited to not that much color options. Also, I don't like red. I would prefer the pickguard being white or black or beige in a color of pickups, knobs, and the toggle selector. But this guitar has another problem, and this is neck dive, and a rather atrocious one. So there is one main reason for it, and it's problem that this is a Jazzmaster. Because it's an offset body, you have the leg carve over here. And because of this, half of the weight of the body is after your leg. And all the weight of the neck is also here. So the guitar will neck dive no matter what. And because this leg cutaway is not so much pronounced, if you put it in the classical position, it will still try to slide. So it will try to move somewhere in this position. Because the body and the neck weight is overall pretty well balanced. As you can see here, if I put it by the neck joint, guitar has a tendency to body dive instead of a neck diving. And as you can see, it's really don't sit on me that well. It tries to neck dive no matter what. And this is kind of the biggest ergonomical problems for me, and maybe it is the main reason why I don't play this guitar as much as I play my other ones. The other proof that the neck dive is because of this leg cutaway position is that if I turn the guitar around, no neck dive. So yeah, if we had a leg cutaway here, the guitar would be extremely stable. Or maybe have just a tiniest bit of a neck dive. But yeah, you can see that if I have some friction with my body, the guitar, it body dives right now. So yeah. But the main problem is to not affect anything because right now there is a toggle pushing against my ribs, and because of this it stays in place. But if I move out, yeah, it neck dives. But far less if we keep it normal. And the last part is hardware. It's a tunematic bridge with stop bar, and I can't say a bad thing about it. It's absolutely okay, and I have this guitar for 1.5 years, and there is no like bend in tunematic, so the quality of it is once again acceptable, good. You don't need to upgrade this thing whatsoever. The only downsides is that you can see here that the scale length adjustment is over here. It's not that comfortable to adjust with the string tension on, but the good thing is that bridge came from factory pre-intonated, and this pre-intonation was spot on. And the last thing I changed on this guitar was strap pins, because original strap pins, made in rather vintage style, is constructed that way that it's harder to put the strap on rather than remove it. So the strap on the original strap pins will try to slide from it while you're playing, and I installed the one from my Court because I installed the strap locks on it and I had a free strap pins, so I use it here. They are okay, but once again, while standing up, this guitar also neck dives because of, I think this is because the protrusion of this horn is really not sufficient, so it should have been somewhere here, and maybe the body could have been just a little bit smaller. Yeah, it's a relatively big guitar. For comparison, let's grab Ibanez RG. It's a 7-string, and as you can see, it's just a little bit smaller than this Jazzmaster. Although this guitar has bigger headstock, 24 frets, but this one is a bit bigger because it has just more material on the body. Now let's speak about assembling. If you are familiar with how guitar works and this is not your first instrument, it's not problematic at all. All of the hard work is done before you, so you don't need to shape the neck, shape the body, drill the holes for the installation of the neck. All is done before you. So if you assemble it and simply keep it the way it is, it's a completely functional instrument because, once again, all of the guitar comes pre-finished, so the neck is finished and the body is also finished, which you need to keep in mind. You cannot just paint it, you need to remove all of the clear coat that is put in here. So I can say a bad thing about assembling it. It's a fun process. If you are not familiar with it, it can take you 2, 3, maybe 4 hours. If you are experienced with this thing, you can do this, I think, in an hour or maybe a bit more or a bit less, depends on the level of your skill. And overall, this guitar is easy to assemble, and I would say that the process is really fun. And the only thing for which you may need manual, if you are familiar with what you're doing, is for the installation of the ground wire and something like this, and for quick connection of the pickups. Also, there is one and only problem here, and the problem is the fact that you have a color-coded connectors to both of the pickups, but the manual is black and white, and you kind of need to guess which pickups go where and which is the right way to quick connect them. It's the only downside I can say, and I don't think it's a crucial one. In terms of how this guitar play, I would say 2 things. In terms of this guitar on itself, in a spherical vacuum, which you compare it to any other guitars, absolutely acceptable. There is less sustain on one note on a G string. You cannot put the action lower than 1.5 millimeters. It's the lowest you can put the tunematic without any holes redrilling. But still you can get a relatively low action, and guitar plays just fine. Could have been better, but if we consider the price, guitar plays simply amazing. it's just great for the money. Once again, for the amount of money you paid for it, it's a really low action. The parts of the guitar that will be hard to change or mod are very, very decent, and I don't see troubles with it whatsoever. All of the materials also withstand the test of time, so there is no neck warp, there is no sagging on the tunematics, so yeah, and the electronics also work great. Now let's make a quick run of QC issues. The most of the damage to guitar I done myself. The only drawback I can find is that this part of the neck pocket is not cut perfectly. There is a chip in the wood. Like, the wood started to chip at this point, and because of this we are having this really not good looking piece. From practical point of view, it doesn't affect the sound, the playability and everything like this. And once again, you can just go and sand off this part and there will be no problem here. There is a tiniest gap in the neck pocket, but it's less than 0.5 millimeters, so no complaints here. And the last one is that if you can see on the pickguard, at this point there is no screw installed because the aluminum foil isolation of the pickup cavity is interfering with this one, and I decided that I would rather not install the screw here, simply not to damage the possible isolation here. But I right now understand that there is no graphite covering underneath the pickguard, so there is no like a Faraday cage inside, so all of the noises all of the electrical interference will still be present, so I think I can screw it whatsoever. But overall, if we don't consider any of these problems, the guitar came out almost perfect from the factory. And these minor nuisances and these minor QC issues are personally, I would say, expected for this amount of money. Yeah, not perfect, but I would say acceptable. Also, there's like a few imperfections in the wood, and definitely I would say this guitar was made in mind that you will paint it solid color. And another QC issue I found here is that I have a tiny chip in a fretboard, and it's not a QC issue, it's like my personal issue with this guitar is that there is no 22nd fret. I would like this guitar to have 22 or more frets, because you can see here that there is a lot of space between pickup and the fretboard that is simply not used. And I guess we would consider this as a drawback, but those witch head knobs are very easy to remove. And as you can see, I simply like pull it with my 2 fingers and it comes off. So if you are to install, well, you can see it's a bit harder here, but if you are to install some kind of a like push-pull configuration on this guitar, you will need to swap out the knobs. Damn it, it's stuck here. I put it wrong and it's stuck. Now let's jump to the tone demos. So now let's jump to conclusions. And overall, if we consider this guitar without its price, I can say it's a 6 or 7 out of 10, but if we consider how much it costs, yeah, it's 9 or 10 out of 10. It's a lot of the guitar for the money. Yeah, you need to swap out the crappy tuners, and there is tiny QC issues, but none of them are crucial, so the guitar will play. And because it's a kit, you can remove those imperfections, you can make the guitar really your own. But if you don't want to, you can simply assemble it, leave it as it is, and it will still work. It's surprisingly versatile, although it's a P90s, which basically beefy single coil. You can still get not only a good jazzy tones or cleans, you can get a good high gain sound out of it. But maybe you can consider the pickups noisy and maybe just a bit too bitey for heavy music. Yeah, they are very aggressive if you put them really high up and you play heavy on the strings. It tends to distort naturally, and this alongside with the original distortion from the amp creates a very evil sounding PC tone, and I also like it. It's a good guitar for black metal, to be honest. And overall, there is no problems with the neck, no problems with the body, no problems with the hardware. I can say amazing for the money. It's also a big fun to create your own instrument, and maybe if you are buying the first guitar for your child, it will be an amazing experience building this guitar together. So overall, I can say this guitar is somewhere around 9 because all of the QC imperfections are the smallest one I've seen in the guitars made in Indonesia, and it's an amazing thing. The perfectly cut nut. The only thing, you need to throw away crappy tuners, and afterwards guitar is really good to go. Anywhere from practicing to gigging and maybe even recording. This guitar can do anything, and I love it. Personally, the best guitar I have here if I consider the money I pay for it. And at this point, thank you for watching. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to the channel for more reviews and more other guitar stuff. There are other reviews on the channel and a few others coming up. And play good guitars. And bye.